For this training segment, I want to talk about something that I call process, not the prize. And this is a segment that I work with students once they understand their shot routine and the process of checking your stance, your grip, shoulder position, anchor, peep, and then understand the mechanics of shot activation. At that point, you're shooting downrange, you're making shots, and you're starting to be aware of where you're at in regards to like maybe handicap. Am I a 295 shooter? Am I a 300 shooter but with a low X count? And you're trying to make progress. Now, one of the things that I've found that alters your ability to advance in progress is when there's too much focus on the outcome, or what I refer to as the prize. Because I come up with this saying because it's easy for me to just look at a student on the line and say, process, and they understand. Process, not the prize. This is something that me as a competitive archer failed at many times, and it's one of the things that I realize now could have been avoided if I didn't pay attention to what was happening down there at the end of my shot versus what was happening right here at my shot. For example, there was multiple times where I'm shooting, I'm on the cusp of a potential new world record or a potential new state record, and just coming back and looking at my scorecard and knowing 3 more clean arrows is a world record. And then, sure enough, drop a point, then just go back to making my shots, and then perfect shot. But once again, tie it, don't break it. And the reason is because I was thinking about the prize. I wasn't thinking about the process. It's happened so many times. So I tell people, okay, we've got our shooting box here. Now what I want to do is I want to draw a line in this shooting box, and you can see here I trace my feet a lot so that I step into a box and I recognize what I'm doing here. And once I draw that, then I actually name these 2 halves. So the front half is going to be very focused not on the prize, but just doing its ability to float, and it's going to be fairly static. So I'll talk about, this front half is going to be static. Now the back half has to be dynamic. So when I talk about focus on the process, not the prize, we're focusing on our steps, stance, grip, anchor. We focus on our stance, our grip, shoulder, anchor, peep, then shot acquisition. And from there, it's all about the process, this dynamic process of the rear portion pulling through that shot. And so when I do that and I think about the process, then the mechanics of shot activation, and I put them in that order, well, then I start doing what it takes within this box to produce down on the target. When I put the target first, I'm putting literally the cart ahead of the horse. So once I have this, and it's good to have it as something to look at. A lot of times if you're looking at it, you do a better job of doing it. So I can look down, I can go through my shot routine in my head, stance, grip, shoulder, anchor, peep acquisition, engage my trigger or let off my safety, and then it's all about continual dynamics as I focus on pulling this elbow to this wall behind me until my shot breaks. Now what I found is when I focus on the process is what has got me in contention, nothing else. I've never gone to a tournament just saying the whole time, I don't need to make good shots, I just want to go there to win. The first thing I have to do is make good shots. When it comes to overproducing past your average, it is going to come from when you actually make more good shots than you have in the past. And that's going to come from you having the process correct every time you are going through a shot. So right here, I'm in my box. From my center line, so literally from the logo right here in the middle of my shirt, I'm gonna let this do its thing. My conscious thoughts are gonna be from this center line back, and what's making sure my hand position is correct, making sure how I'm engaging my trigger is correct, and then pulling through that shot and focusing on when this shot breaks, I'm gonna finish my shot and let this dissolve, and then once that arrow has already made impact to the target, I can then assess what happened with the arrow. So really, if you think about your shooting and your practice as if you watching me is ultimately yourself watching yourself, if this, what you see right now, looks like a perfect 10 to you, then chances are what happens down at the range is going to be a result of this. If you're watching here and you recognize, oh, well, I just totally anticipated that trigger, double clutched, hit the trigger too fast, or if you watch yourself pull back and just hit that trigger, well, that isn't what's going to get you the outcome you want. You have to pretend that someone is watching you all the time, and what you want most is that you look like a dynamic archer that's making good shots. And if you can do that from where you are looking at me, and you can picture good shots happening, then what you do on a professional level, on an amateur level, or regardless of where you are, you're gonna produce better than you have in the past when you focus on the process and not the prize.